Today's Full Glam Friday is something that I've never done before, and it's an entire face of drugstore makeup. Let's not waste any more time and let's just do the darn thing, all right? Let's say hey to my breakouts because these are gonna be really, really fun to cover today. Okay, so we are starting with the Honest Everything Matte Primer. This isn't really a pore filler, but it does keep your skin from getting overly shiny as the day goes on. And this is the Pacifica Alight Foundation, and it is a fuller coverage. Sometimes I can skip concealer when I use this. It just depends on how much coverage I really need that day. But we're gonna blend this all out, paying special attention to the ears and neck and make sure we don't have any lines of demarcation. Also, I try to shear it out a little bit more around the eyes so it doesn't settle into fine lines. I just need to take a moment out to say this foundation is awesome full coverage, lays on the skin really nice, but we have to talk about something real quick. This is supposed to be a satin finish, not luminous or radiant, but it is very, very radiant. It continues to get dewier as you wear it. Yeah, you've been warned. Now I'm going to go in with the Maybelline Superstay Concealer. I've been testing this out and it really does wear all day without separating or coming apart. And I also think that this is a much fuller coverage than the Age Rewind Concealer. I also like that it's in a squeeze tube with a doe foot. And now I'm just going to tap this onto blemishes and buff it out around my eyes as well, brightening up any area that has discoloration, either redness or dark circles, you name it. I want a very, very flawless canvas to start with before I start adding color today. And then I'm going to set it down with the Covergirl Clean Matte, but I found that using a brush, it kind of started getting really luminous again very quickly. So I'm just going to spot cover with the Superstay Concealer again. Tapping out the edges. And since it started getting so luminous again, I'm actually going back in with a sponge and really pressing that powder in to mattify my complexion. This works a lot more effectively than a brush if you tend to get really oily. Now I'm going to prime my lids with the Milani Eyeshadow Primer. Rub this all over, and then I'm going to set it with powder using a sponge again. It creates a really flawless base for me and it keeps my mascara from smudging on my brow bone. Now I'm going in with the Honest blush in Rose Pink and tapping that on with a brush onto the apples of my cheeks, really, really buffing that out. And then I'm going to use a powder brush to really just tap out the edges to make it really, really smooth and seamless. Now I'm using the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. I love this stuff. It's a beautiful shade. It's not too dark for my skin tone, and it smells like a vacation. So I'm a big, big fan of this. And also dragging that down on the neck and the collarbones. This is the Physicians Formula Dew Highlighter. I really, really like this a lot. It's a really pretty... Okay, so I have to be really honest with you for a second. I don't have a drugstore eyeshadow palette, so we are going to wing it. I'm going to use the Butter Bronzer kind of as a crease definition color, and then I'm going to use, hang on, where are you? And I'm going to use this really, really fun color from Colourpop. I know they're not technically like drugstore, but it's like $6 at Ulta for this, so it falls within the drugstore price range, so bear with me. Let's do this. Okay, so dipping into that Butter Bronzer again, I'm going to go in very lightly as a crease shade and really blend it out, not putting too much overlapping onto my lid because I really want the Colourpop to be nice and radiant. And then I'm also going to drag a little bit of that color down my nose for a very, very soft contour. This puts a lot of focus on the center of the face and it tends to make you look a little more sharp and angular, and I've really enjoyed doing this technique the past couple of days. And also because my nose is somewhat uneven, I tend to do a little bit more on my right, your left, just to even out where the dip is on the left side of my nose. One thing I do want to say is that these Super Shock shadows have like almost like a, it's hard to see, like a squishy kind of texture. So brushes don't work great with them. They're almost like a powder cream hybrid. The best color payoff is by using your fingers. So that is what we're doing. So now I'm swirling my finger into this shade. It's, I can't remember the name of this. I think it's like I Heart This. I'll put the name in the description box below. But kind of a patting, tapping, slightly dragging motion to really deposit the most pigment. And this one is really, really shimmery too. And I just think it's so pretty. Now I'm taking some more of that butter bronzer and going in on my lower lash line for a little bit of extra definition. Sometimes I feel like if I don't have something, I look kind of sick. Okay, I have one other like drugstore cheat that I'm using today, only because I don't have a liquid liner from the drugstore. So I'm going to use the Glossier Pro Tip. You can order this on Glossier.com. So when I line my eyes, I make sure that the brush or the felt tip is horizontal with my lash line, and then I go back in and fill in really close to my lashes. And you'll see in just a second, I angle the wand up from the corner of my eye, extending towards my eyebrow, and make like a little triangle and sweep it across. And I do this with my eyes open so that I can see where that line is going to lay, because my eyes are somewhat deep set, and if I close my eyes, the line oftentimes will jump on me. So I tend to kind of slightly close my eyes and then open them back up. Now I'm using the Wow Brow from e.l.f. This is in dark brown. This has been kind of my go-to brow product lately, and I would say it's a really great drugstore dupe for Glossier Boy Brow, but I will say I think I prefer Boy Brow because it has more of a hold than Wow Brow. Wow Brow has fibers though, so you know. Now I'm going to curl my eyelashes and use the Colossal mascara from Maybelline. And I actually have been very, very pleasantly surprised with how this wears. It's a really beautiful mascara. And then I'm going to use the Maybelline ink crayon in Make It Happen.
Bottom, yes! Ah, I love this color.
And then I'm using a brush to really define and crisp up those edges. Next, to really make my lips pop even more, I'm using a concealer to slightly push in the edges of my bottom lip. I really, really loved this technique. I found this from Snitchery, and it has really, really changed the way that my lipsticks look. And then I do just a little bit on top, really more just to clean up that line, and it makes it stand out a little bit more as well. And then once I finish lining, I go in with some powder and really set that so that it doesn't move. This also helps to keep your lip color in place. Now I'm taking some of the butter bronzer and just going beneath my bottom lip to make it look extra pouty.
I feel like we have to have a little story time with this, because this Colossal mascara has been around forever. Like, I think I was probably 14 the first time I used it, and I used it for a while. I really, really liked it, and that was like way back in the day. Fast forward to my recent Ulta trip, and this was like a little gift with purchase because I got quite a few Maybelline products. And at first I was thinking like, oh, I'll just donate this, like I've used it before, whatever. And then I was like, no, it's been a while, try it again and see what you think of it. And like, look at my eyelashes. Why did I stop using this? I think it comes down to like oversaturation of the market, and you know, every brand is trying to keep up with the Joneses and like constantly launching stuff. But oh my gosh, look at my eyelashes. They look so good. This is one of those products that has withstood the test of time. Like, I am seriously impressed, and honestly, like when brands hit something like a gold mine like this, they really need to just like not focus so much on like making so many new products all the time. Like focus on what works. Like I'm glad that they put this in my bag as a gift with purchase and it's an old product, because had they not done that, I probably wouldn't have revisited it. And I think especially as a beauty blogger, you're constantly trying to keep up with like the latest launches and stuff like that. But like sometimes certain formulas are so good and they're a classic, and you know, I think it just kind of goes with like my whole mentality of like wanting to slow down in 2020 and not over consume. Like obviously like I'm still a consumer and I'm a beauty blogger and I'm going to try new things, but like I'm not interested in every single launch. And sometimes like there's just things that you don't need to change it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like this is great. Like I love it. Love it. If this isn't glam, I don't know what is. Who would have guessed? It's almost an entire face of drugstore products. The only exception, Glossier Pro Tip liquid liner and Colourpop plop Colourpop, which is not technically like drugstore, but it was $6. It's drugstore price. Girl, yes.